Hi everybody, I'm Andrea Pomrenke and I'm talking about my evaluation on the Know the Real Deal About Your Meal program that I designed for Nutrition Education Methods 2. To provide you with some information on the demographics of this population, the program was applied to a salon set in a suburban Virginia town about an hour south of Washington, D.C. The salon is located in an outdoor shopping area with access to an indoor food court. And employees of the salon range in age from 18 to a little beyond 60, but the large majority are under 35 and are generally in the middle to low income bracket. During working hours, most employees rely on the mall food court for lunch, and therefore they are limited to those typical fast food options like Chick-fil-A or Pancho Villa. The time allotted for lunch can also be an issue for this population, and therefore there are times where employees do not take lunch and they rely on the available snack options in the break room for sustenance throughout the day. And these snack options are typically pretzels or animal crackers. The program was advertised about 6 weeks ahead of time, and 2 weeks prior to the lesson, a sign-up sheet was placed in the break room. 10 individuals did sign up out of about 17 that were currently working at the salon, and 6 ended up showing up on the night of the lesson. The goals of this program were to educate participants on how to choose healthier lunch options in the food court if they were unable to pack a healthy lunch from home, to incorporate at least 2 fruit and vegetable servings into each lunch, how to handle peer pressure in relation to food, and how to set personal health and nutrition goals to guide participants to a healthier eating lifestyle. The lesson itself lasted about an hour and built upon itself as it progressed. We began discussing outcome expectations in regards to the long-term health effects of eating fast food, the benefits to eating fruits and vegetables, an eat this, not that game that was based on food options from the food court to build self-efficacy. Samples of easy-to-make meals were brought in, and everybody got to try that. And finally, a group activity listing barriers to healthy eating, and then we concluded with a personal goal-making sheet that the participants could take home, and a few of them did share their own personal goals, health goals. The main stakeholder targets were the owner of the salon, of course, who is in charge of giving the final okay to host the lesson, and to facilitate a supportive environment after completion of the program, as well as the participants themselves, of course, since they are the ones that are taking action to improve the quality of their own lunches. My evaluation design uses various forms of measurements and starts with the evaluator gathering the manuscript for the lesson itself, as well as taking note on the recruitment methods in order to gain a larger participant turnout for the future. I chose to use the test-retest reliability in this evaluation because of the use of the needs assessment prior to the lesson. Pearson correlation coefficients would ideally be close to +1 after statistical analysis, but this will really be dependent on factors in participation such as attrition. I administered the needs assessment 1 week prior to the lesson, but in the future I would probably change this to administer a combined needs assessment with a food frequency questionnaire about 4 weeks prior to the lesson, and to be completed on a weekly basis to gauge the average consumption of fast foods for lunch. This information could be used as a control to determine if the goals of the lesson were successful in creating behavior change that was desired. A survey would also be administered electronically immediately after completion of the lesson, and a follow-up food frequency questionnaire would be given on a monthly basis for about 6 months, and then twice a year for up to 5 years. All survey questions would use a Likert scale, and qualitative data would then be given a numerical value to allow for measurability. A potential error that I do see in administering the food frequency questionnaire before the lesson could be the Hawthorne social desirability or Pygmalion effect because of the potential for behavior change, increased attention to the behavior of eating fast foods, or the desire to just please the educator or evaluator. I would also use small focus groups containing at least 5 of the attendants of the program, and that will be led by the evaluator in order to assess the effectiveness of the activities throughout the program. The evaluator will pose open-ended questions to understand if participants felt that the activities were relevant to the information provided in the presentation, and dose delivered and received would also be measured through the use of focus groups, and questions posed will be related to whether the information was presented too quickly, if participants felt that the information was relevant, how enthusiastic participants were, if the presentation was engaging enough, and how motivated attendees were to participate in activities or to answer questions during the lesson. The evaluation could be used by the stakeholders to determine how to get funding for this program and to determine if the changes in personal behavior and the salon environment in general have an effect on the overall atmosphere of the workplace. And based on what I personally observed in the immediate weeks after the intervention, I saw changes in eating behavior, but I did see changes in eating behavior by the participants. About 60% started to pack their own lunches or buy healthier options in the food court, which is definitely a great start to seeing change. But the problem becomes maintaining that new change until it becomes a habit. A large detractor from the intervention is the social norms aspect, based on individuals who did not attend, as well as environmental effects. For instance, about 3 weeks ago, there was a Dairy Queen that moved into the mall, and many of the individuals now get really excited about this, and they started to buy chicken fingers and ice cream for lunch. So, in order to create a sustainable and healthy environment, ideally this program would be offered every couple months as a way to check in with participants and to continue to engage them, to engage that population and to motivate them towards making healthier choices in the future. So overall, I thought that this project was pretty interesting, and because this was my first time designing an intervention like this, it was definitely fairly challenging to complete this within the time frame that we had, but I definitely enjoyed it. So thank you for listening, and if you have any further questions, don't hesitate to ask.